Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the CineMatch podcast, the podcast where we take different movies every week and find different ways to debate/rate them. My name is Cal Altimus, and I am one of your hosts. And joining me as he does every week, looking dapper in his little star hat, I think it's a star on it, yeah, is Mr. Nathan Sakalhana. First of all, is that a brand of, what brand is that?
Cowboys.
Bad Boys?
Cowboys.
Oh, Dallas Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys.
No, I should actually recognize that logo because I wrote an article this week on the most valuable sports franchise in the world, and Dallas Cowboys are literally number one. They're worth more than any sports team in the world, and I wrote about that, so I should have recognized it.
Wear Cowboys hats all the time, and you've asked me about it multiple times, asking, I didn't know you were a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, maybe, but my memory's shot to bits. Second of all, how are you?
Not too bad. I've noticed a clothing thing. You're wearing Blink 182 t-shirt. I'm wearing the Darkness t-shirt, and we don't plan these things. It just happens.
No. I mean, I got out the shower like half an hour before we recorded and literally just pulled this out for no reason. But that's quite a coincidence. I didn't even notice you were wearing a band t-shirt.
I'm not too bad this week. You sent me a message earlier saying you've got some thoughts to say on Crazy Stupid Love. I can't wait to argue.
Yeah, well, you've said it there, so we might as well reveal. We are doing When Harry Met Sally versus Crazy Stupid Love. It's the final episode of the Valentines month. We really squeezed every fucking last bit out of the entire month.
With milkless tea.
Yeah, and we got an extra week out of it because of the leap year, so we really fucking made the most of it. And we're ending with what a lot of people say is probably the most iconic rom-com of all time, in When Harry Met Sally. The 1989 movie directed by Rob Reiner. But we're putting it up against a movie that I knew very little about, but it's your favourite rom-com. One of the only ones you actually liked before we did this whole thing, you said, I think.
I think it's probably considered one of the more modern classic rom-coms.
Yeah. Yeah, it's strange that I didn't really know too much about it, but that is Crazy Stupid Love. Two of the best. Like you said, two huge fan favourites, so it felt nice to put them against each other at the end. One that I'd never seen in Crazy Stupid Love, and one that you'd never seen in When Harry Met Sally. I'd only seen When Harry Met Sally once before, so it's not like I was really that familiar with it anyway. And you obviously said Crazy Stupid Love is one of your favourites. Have you watched it a lot then?
Somebody recommended it to me a couple of years ago during lockdown, I think it was, or just after lockdown, and since then I've watched it probably 4 or 5 times. Yeah,
big fan.
Never seen When Harry Met Sally outside of that one scene that obviously everybody knows.
Yeah, the iconic scene.
Which Instagram followers, I do apologise. I had somebody tell me that they were at work when they opened the video.
I was watching it the other day, and Elna had just gone to bed. Like, she just left, and I was watching. I paused it because she come home from work, and I paused it just before. And then when she left, I pressed play, and it was that scene. I was like, I hope she don't think I'm just cracking out porn the minute she's walked out of the room.
Imagine being at my house. I was literally sat there editing it, but I didn't have the sound down. So every time I played it again to make sure that it was edited right, just fucking on repeat the entire. I've got new neighbours. What do they think?
I know the worst thing is they probably thought that guy just really likes that one bit in that porn video. Just keeps rewinding it to that one bit. But yeah, there is that very, very iconic scene. But both movies obviously held in very high regard, so it makes sense to do them now. We've saved the best till last. In that sense, we might as well just get straight into it then. I've only seen one before, you've only seen one before, so this will be interesting. We'll go straight in with the stories then. When Harry Met Sally stories, obviously, it's a bit more straightforward, by the numbers, like typical rom-com, but I think it feels hard saying that because it's the one that really started that sort of trend. It's the boy meets girl, they spend half of the movie as friends before realizing that they want more from each other. They briefly have more, and then it fucks up, and then they eventually realize their mistakes at the end and end up together. Whereas the Crazy Stupid Love story is very different. I mean, it kind of follows two couples, which is why the male and female lead in the couples category is going to be interesting, because I wasn't quite sure going in how we were supposed to, like, which characters we were supposed to use. But it obviously follows Steve Carell's character, Cal, fucking big up my boy Cal, love that, who whose wife tells him she wants a divorce and tells him she's been cheating on him with Kevin Bacon, which fair play. And then the movie's essentially about how Ryan he meets this womanizer played by Ryan Gosling, who takes him under his wing and transforms into someone who's confident around women, is able to woo any woman he wants, which is very different to the man that was married at the beginning of the film. And the story is kind of just like how he deals with that being single and all that sort of stuff, but also with the fact that he can't get over his wife and she can't get over him, which is strange considering her actions throughout most of the fucking film. We'll get on that. But it's also paired with Ryan Gosling's character and his love story with a woman he meets at the bar fairly early in the movie, but nothing really comes of it till quite a bit later. Like you have that one scene between him and Emma Stone, and it takes a while before we get back to those guys. But they also have a nice little romance, and there's the big reveal that she's Cal's daughter, which is great. It is great. And then it's the last like 20 minutes is how Cal deals with that revelation after having seen Jacob be this womanizer and now knows he's with his daughter. Before everyone comes together nicely at the end and we have the nice happy reunion as we always do in these sorts of movies. I went 10-9 in favor of Crazy Stupid Love.
Yes.
I think I like the elaborate nature of it. It's hard, like I said, it's hard to say now because you do watch When Harry Met Sally in 2024 eyes. Like you do look at it as if, oh, I've seen this sort of thing before. Like it is important that we can't ignore the fact that it created a lot of that sort of trope. Like it was the first of its kind, which makes it the original, but it's hard to remember that when you're watching and it feels like it's retreading old water. Whereas Crazy Stupid Love, I like how complex the story is and all the twists and turns, because I knew the first the main twist with Emma Stone's character, but I really liked the one when Marissa Tomei was the teacher. I thought that was great. I didn't see that one coming. That was really fun. And I think adding those twists really helped. And just I think having Cal's character go through such a grand change before realizing at the end how he preferred being like the sort of soppy romantic that he was. I just think it was different, and it's not like anything you really see in these sorts of movies. So it gets bonus points for originality.
Would When Harry Met Sally not get bonus points for originality if it's not the original?
It should have done, but I didn't think of that when I was writing them down. I only remember that it was the first of its fucking kind once I'd done my scores.
I really like Harry Met Sally's story, actually. I actually liked it a lot more than I thought I would, because obviously the past couple Meg Ryan films I really, really disliked it.
I told you though, not to step on female characters, but this is the best Meg Ryan.
I'm happy to say, yeah, I agree. Her story is great. But I liked, the fact that they came together and then they kind of went apart, and then they got together and then they kind of went apart, and then they became like the whole friendship turned into relationship kind of thing. But even then it's like up to the last minute where they finally went over. And I do like the where it cuts away to the older couples. And the first, when I saw the first one, I was like, oh, the film's going to end on Harry and Sally. And I'm right, but that's only because we're able to predict it now. But I really liked having all those stories interspersed between all of the like time jumps and scenes in the movies. But yeah, Crazy Stupid Love, 10 to Crazy Stupid Love, 10-9, because there's so much stuff that happens in that film, and it just keeps you hooked, it keeps you guessing, it keeps you like entertained consistently. Whereas I think with Harry Met Sally, I know it's a bit of an older film, so it's hard to judge it that, but there's a lot of retreading water effect, like quite a lot of the times when you can tell they kind of like each other, but they're going to remain friends and blah blah blah. Whereas Crazy Stupid Love doesn't give you that chance to get bored. It just constantly flips it on its head. Like when he finally tries being the ladies' man and it doesn't work, so be honest, but that works. But that comes to bite him in the arse with the Marissa Tomei character, and trying to win his wife back, and that bites him in the arse as soon as he sees Jacob, and the best scene in the film plays out. It's just keeps you like just on your toes constantly. It's really, really good. Like the stuff with the babysitter, the stuff with the son, who, what a fucking guy. The stuff, just all the stuff with Jacob and Hannah, Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone's characters are brilliant. It's see that side of the story seems more traditional, whereas Cal's side of the story seems more like a modern romance movie. But then you kind of bring them together to bring a new twist on it all. And I just think it's really expertly done. I love this movie, and I don't want to be too biased because I really liked When Harry Met Sally. But yeah, I think in terms of story, I don't think it gets much better. I'm not going to give points on originality because obviously When Harry Met Sally is the first one.
Yeah, I also think modern movies, the humor just works more effectively for me. Like I know obviously When Harry Met Sally is great and it is funny, but I just don't think the humor lands quite the same as like the sort of stuff that they pull off in these more recent movies. Like there's moments throughout Crazy Stupid Love where I was laughing out loud, and you don't really get that too often with the older rom-coms. I think just humor evolved, and we obviously are more in tune with what we see now, and it just works more. Interesting fact though, the old couples in When Harry Met Sally were all real.
Yeah, I imagine they were.
That's quite cool, that I think.
Yeah.
And I do like the twist, the touch and having the couples doing that sort of stuff. I do think that is a nice touch for it.
I think with When Harry Met Sally, in terms of the humour, you've got Meg Ryan, I think, playing a character, and then you've got Billy Crystal. They hired him to be Billy Crystal. Like I'm sure it's very early Billy Crystal when he's up and coming comedian, which is probably why they just let him be. It's like when you see Robin Williams in a movie, you can tell which directors say, "Just be Robin Williams for me," and which directors don't. And I think that's what we this is probably the most Billy Crystal film I've seen with Billy Crystal in it.
Yeah, he's just straight up Billy Crystal throughout, which we'll talk about soon. But we'll move on then to the openings of the movies. Finally, I can say these aren't your traditional rom-com openings. Thank fuck. I feel like I've been repeating myself.
This week, we finally got there.
I've been repeating myself over and over and over. But this week is different. This ain't about telling you who the characters are. This is about fucking kicking off with a bang. And they're both very original openings. I really like the When Harry Met Sally opening, which it literally opens with the two main characters meeting for the first time and embarking on this very long road trip where they get to know each other. They have these pretty wild conversations about like his theory that men and women can't be friends unless there's something else involved, and then also talking about her ex and how he is in the sack. It's a really interesting way to open it, and then you pair that with Crazy Stupid Love, which literally opens on a divorce. Like it's the complete opposite of what you expect to see from one of these movies. Like sat at the table in the restaurant, and Cal and his wife, who is called Emily. I just had to look it up because I completely forgot. And they're sat having a food, like debating what to have for food, and she tells him she wants a divorce, and then it spirals into he's in the car just like silent and numb until when she keeps going on him and he just throws himself out.
Both openings take place in a car.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but they're very, very different kinds of situations. So, on that note, how did you score it?
Really difficult to score this one, but I actually went 10-9 in favour of When Harry Met Sally.
Oh, I didn't see that coming.
No, me neither. If I'm being perfectly honest, I really like Crazy Stupid. I like the bits like the opening with all the like the feet, and then how it just kind of cuts to
Those guys.
I mean, you can tell by the feet already, like it's going to be a safe couple, a couple that's just comfortable with each other, and all the stuff in the car when he jumps out of the car is brilliant, and immediately it kind of like sets the tone of who these characters are. And you say it doesn't really give much about the character, but it does, and you can kind of see what's happened and the kind of person that Cal's become. Whether that's where you are in your life right now, I don't know.
No chance. I've got a couple of years from there.
I don't know, mate. You walk around everywhere in your jogger shorts, and you prefer comfortability over.
Hey, these are proper joggers today.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm judging. I've got the shorts on today.
Well, so you're the hypocrite. It's you this time.
Me, hypocrite. I wouldn't dream of it. But I really liked when Harry Met Sally. It's simple. It's so like old school and simple that I just loved it. The constant kissing foot was really, really funny, and him getting in the car and just driving and talking, setting up like his points of views on stuff, and then like we said, full Billy Crystal, and it just goes on and on. Like, and it's nothing big, it's nothing fancy, it's nothing explosive. It's just really straightforward, and I found it really funny, and you get like a really good insight to both characters just by them talking in a car, and I really, really enjoyed it. Him spitting the grapes out the window but not having rolled the window down fucking made me laugh. Her, obviously, there's all these little like hints that they don't work, that you'll eventually know that they will. But just I don't know, I can't really explain it. It just really, really worked for me in a way that shocked me, because I was expecting to go 10-9s for Crazy Stupid Love all the way through.
Yeah, I really like the opening to When Harry Met Sally as well. Like, I think it is nice to just open immediately with them meeting. Like, we're not beating around the bush, we're getting straight into it. Whereas some of these movies, sometimes it takes like 25 minutes before the romantic interest meet. So it was nice to see them get that out of the way early. And the way the relationship evolves just in that car journey alone is really funny. I like, because Harry's obviously a very opinionated character, so I like that we are quickly introduced to some of his crazy opinions almost immediately. I like the stuff in the restaurant where Meg Ryan's character is very picky on her food, and she's like giving that a really elaborate order, and the waitress looks like she'd punch her in the fucking face. Like, I love all that stuff. I just love that the way those characters bounce off each other so well, and it's immediately set up that you kind of know they are going to end up together. But it's nice to see, like, at the beginning, she's not interested. She's got that loyalty to that girl who we quickly come to find out she loses touch of immediately.
Yeah.
But it sets up that Meg Ryan's got morals in this movie, which we've come to see in a couple of rom-coms. She's not quite about it. This is different.
For once.
Sally Albright's different. It's nice to see.
I also like when a film just makes good on its title in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Sally, there it is. Happened straight away.
That's when it happened, yeah. And I also like that he opened with him in a different relationship. Like, the way it plays out, it's really smart. But I went 10-9 in favour of Crazy Stupid Love. Because I think opening on a divorce is such a ballsy move for a rom-com. Like, you don't see that very often. And you're right, the stuff with like the feet under the table, like everyone flirting, then it shows them like flat-footed, and you immediately know these guys are fucking miserable. Like, they're either miserable like she is or really comfortable like he is. And just, I mean, I saw it coming when they said, "Oh, we'll say on three what we want, 1, 2, 3." Like, I saw that coming, but it's still a really good moment when she says that in the middle of the fucking restaurant so everyone can hear. That's the most brutal shit ever. And then just the car scene when he throws himself out fucking killed me. I thought that was so funny.
You keep talking to me, throw myself out the car.
Yeah, she just keeps going. Like, I just think it's not something you're used to seeing in these sorts of movies. So again, I like that it was something different, and it immediately like tells you that your expectations aren't really going to matter. Like, it's going to be completely different to what you think you're going to see. And I didn't know that was coming. Like, I already told you, the big twist towards the end, I knew it was coming. But opening on the divorce actually genuinely shocked me. So that was quite interesting. So I went 10-9 in favour of that. We'll move on then to the best ending. These are important in movies. And why is that?
Because you like an ending that's got a conclusion, don't you?
A good ending always concludes, is my new motto.
If we ever do t-shirts, a good ending has a conclusion.
Yeah,
is one that we're doing.
Yeah.
That, and what's the other thing you say? Let's move on then.
Yeah, let's move on then. There's me too. Yeah, we'll talk about the endings then. It's obviously rom-coms, so they have to follow certain sort of rules. And when Harry Met Sally is your very, very typical rom-com ending, in Harry realizes that he loves this girl, Sally, and he races to be with her on New Year's Eve. At first, she kind of shoots him down. She's not interested because it's already hurt her, but then he gives that big romantic speech about why he loves her and all the things he loves.
As I was watching it, I was like, I love Scrubs.
Yeah, that's why I knew it. Yeah, that's exactly why I knew it. I was like, Turk, you motherfucker, you. But yeah, it is a very traditional rom-com ending, but it was that is why it's the traditional rom-com ending, because that movie did it so well. Crazy Stupid Love's ending is quite traditional as well, in the sense that Cal gives a big emotional speech about how he loves his wife, kind of ex, but wife. And he talks about their first meeting when they were teenagers and how she's his soulmate and the love they have for each other, and how he lied to his dad because he said he'd be going on many dates with different women and it's always just been her, and talking about how he took her for ice cream and stuff before they have their very emotional reunion as well. There's obviously a little bit more to it, with the son giving the speech at graduation, the babysitter doing some really questionable things, which we'll fucking get on in a minute. Jesus Christ. But also his reconciliation with his daughter and Ryan Gosling's character, Jacob. So I'm going to be honest, I went 10-9 in favour of When Harry Met Sally, because that fucking speech is iconic. Like, there's no getting around it. It is, and it sets up so many different movies and TV shows. It just ripped it off, like, later on. Like, we watched and discussed 10 Things I Hate About You recently. That's kind of the same sort of thing. I was watching the episode of Friends when Ross writes the... Do you watch Friends?
Not anymore, but I did.
Yeah, so the episode when Ross writes the list about whether he should be with Julie or Rachel, and when Rachel finds out, he's outside on the balcony reading the list of reasons why he loves her and stuff. It's the same sort of thing, and I said that to Eleanor because I just watched this film before. Like, it's been ripped off so many times, and there's a reason for that. It's just so iconic. And well, I really like the ending to Crazy Stupid Love, apart from the most predatory act I've ever fucking seen in the babysitter at 17 giving a 13-year-old fucking nudes. Like, what the fucking hell were we thinking there?
You're both under 18, it's fine.
Oh, I don't know if that's how it works. And I like the stuff when he makes amends with Jacob and they shake hands, but then he slaps him and he's like, I've got a gun, and he says it's going to be fun. And his emotional reunion with his wife. It's all good, but When Harry Met Sally is, I mean, it's a rom-com. Like, that moment is so iconic, and it's the reason rom-coms are the way they are, so it's hard to ignore that.
Oh, does it matter? Sorry.
Yeah. That's how it works. I don't know if you realise this yet, but that's how it works.
No? What's this, episode 33? No, I've not realised. Is this... Oh, no, this is our... Is this episode 33?
Maybe.
This would be our 30th episode together.
No, that's not true.
Yeah.
No, because I only did 2 before.
Yeah, so our 33rd...
So if you when you actually work it out...
So we missed it last week.
Yeah.
Oh, well. My t-shirt will just have Nathan says something stupid immediately. Yeah. That's it. I agree. I love the ending to Crazy Stupid Love, but When Harry Met Sally, like you say, like you describe most things, is iconic. And yeah, it's been...
Is it not phenomenal, no?
It is phenomenal. Yeah,
no, so like you describe most things as well then.
I've not done that in a long while. I've been very self-conscious about that. It's I don't think it can be beat, and it's one of those cheesy endings that works. It's one of those that should, with these kind, and we've talked about it in all, like in the stuff we've done this month, in that sometimes it happens too quick, but this is 12 years in the making, like, for those characters, and it's still kind of like, it's a big, nice, happy, loving moment. But as she's saying, as they're kissing, she's saying how much she hates him. And it's kind of like, it's a lot more real for the cheesiness of it all. Whereas Crazy Stupid Love, for once, I think I would have actually preferred, over the credits or something, like a look at the future. Like, what does that look like? Do they remain friends? Do they continue to have this contentious relationship, like Jacob and Cal? Do they continue to have this like contentious relationship? Does it like, do they end up together? Like, I do want to know.
Do they end up together? What, Jacob and Cal?
Fucking, can you imagine? That'd be a great sequel.
That should have been the ending. they just realised they meant for each other instead. Fuck it, let's go.
But yeah, as much as Crazy Stupid Love twists and turns with its main story, I think its ending's very safe in what it is. Though I do like the bit at the end when Marissa Tomei sat in the audience giving it all that. I do like that. And I do think it's weird with the babysitter. I agree. I think it's weird every time I think it, and I think it's weird that the entire class and staff and parents cheer and clap when he declares his love to a 17-year-old girl. But yeah, I don't think you can get over how iconic When Harry Met Sally is. I don't think there's any ending to any rom-com that can't be attributed to When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah, exactly. And also, because it's New Year's, Auld Lang Syne plays as well, which just reminds me of It's a Wonderful Life now, the most emotional scene in that movie. So every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, fuck. It's like PTSD. I'm like, oh, shit. Not that. Like, I fucking love it. But yeah, the stuff with the babysitter, it's too jarring. Yeah, you expect something like that in the early 2000s, but this movie was in the 2010s. Like, it just feels really weird choice to have someone do that at that age. Like, weird. 13 years old, that's Nancy stuff, that.
I don't know. She was 17 and going for Cal.
Yeah, and he was right to not be interested because, again, fucking creepy. That girl just needs to sort of priorities out. She either wants them too old or too young. It's bizarre. Go for your age.
She just wants to keep it in the family.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. We'll talk about the male leads now then. Two very, very great comedic actors. We've got Billy Crystal as Harry Burns in When Harry Met Sally, and we've got Steve Carell as Cal Weaver in Crazy Stupid Love. Two very different characters. Billy Crystal's Harry is very opinionated and he stands by his beliefs. He's prone to outbursts of anger, as we see like quite a few rants in the movie, which are great. He's also scared of letting himself get too close to a woman after his divorce. Whereas Steve Carell, his character goes through a lot of changes in Crazy Stupid Love. He obviously starts off this like mopey, miserable married man who undergoes a huge transformation with Jacob's guidance and becomes this womanizer who ends up sleeping. I think he says 9 women. I mean, I don't know how long the time frame is, but he sleeps with 9 women, which everyone's really shocked at. And then it kind of comes full circle, and at the end, he's like trying to win his wife back, and he gives the big emotional speech. How did you score that?
It's gonna hurt my soul. It's gonna hurt my soul. I went 10. Oh, can I do it? I don't know if I can do it. 10-9 in favour of Harry Burns.
That's crazy. I didn't expect that.
I loved how much it drives the point home that he's this kind of person that somebody very specific has to love. Like, he is a very specific type of person. He's a ranter. He's funny, obviously. He's a ranter. He knows exactly what he wants. He's, a good friend. Obviously, he's a good partner as well. But he's very unflinching in who he is and what he wants. I just think he plays it really, really well. Like, you can see the vulnerability and you can see the like when they first sleep together, the instant regret of ruining what he had and all that kind of stuff. I love Cal, not you. I love Cal,
especially me.
And I like all the changes he goes through, but a lot of the times I just see Steve Carell. And while I did say that When Harry Met Sally is the most Billy Crystal out of all the Billy Crystals, and sometimes when I was looking at my phone or had my eyes closed, I did see Mike Wazowski whilst which they missed a trick, by the way, in Monsters Inc. I was thinking this when I was watching it. I'm going on a tangent. They should have hired Meg Ryan to play Mike Wazowski's girlfriend, the one with the snake hair. That would have been brilliant. Just as a would have been brilliant. But whatever.
She'd moved on to Tom Hanks by then.
Yeah, she had. Yeah, I love Cal, but it just seems very Steve Carell, very typical Steve Carell role. Now, if we were talking main lead was Jacob, I know who would be winning. But yeah, I just think the growth from Harry, but not really changing who he is at the same time, I really, really enjoyed. Plus, fucking hilarious. That bit when in the museum and he's doing that voice. Like anybody else, you'd find it fucking annoying, but Billy Crystal makes it work. And you can see why you'd be such good friends with him and why you could fall for him. Whereas Cal obviously just a sad sack turned womanizer because Ryan Gosling helped him. Like if he was in a bar and Ryan Gosling and Steve Carell were there, I know what normal person would pick. I'm prefacing that normal person because we know some not normal people.
Very true.
But I think, yeah, I just think it's very, very close. But I do prefer Harry.
See, I think Steve Carell in that film is actually quite great, and I actually think this is the first time I've thought he doesn't look like him.
In my mouth. I'm not saying he's not great.
You just said he's like a sad sack, or you wouldn't.
He is a sad sack. He literally is a sad sack. He jumps out of a car. That's how sad sack he is.
At the beginning, but he goes through some changes.
By the end of the film, he's hot.
I think he's great in it. I think the stuff when he first splits up with his wife and he's like drunk ranting at the bar, I think that's hilarious. Like when he's talking about to the woman and she's just not paying attention. I think that stuff's really funny. I love the interactions with Jacob at the like early on in the like friendship and when he's like quite taken aback by this guy's confidence. I love the stuff with Marissa Tomei when he tries to put on the act and it's not working, so then he immediately admits that he's not like that and he just talks to her genuine and wins her over that way. I love all that sort of stuff. I really love when he's with her and she loves his honesty and he says he's kind of scared she's got AIDS. I thought that was fucking hilarious. And I love that he keeps like fighting for his wife. Like any normal person would have given up on a woman that had asked for a divorce and also started sleeping with someone she worked with. Like at that point, it's like, all right, well, this is done then. Like, but he keeps like the romantic gestures. Like when he first sets up the mini golf in the back garden, immediately goes to shit. That's the sort of moment that usually ends a movie. It's like the big romantic gesture at the end, but it's not here. But it's still a really good moment. And like the interactions with his son, I think it paints him as this like decent dad who cares. Obviously, his messages are quite misconstrued because he's not quite sure who his son is in love with. And I just think it's a really good character who obviously goes through growth throughout the movie, and some of it's not for the best. Like when he's lying about how he knows Marissa Tomei's character to his wife in the office, and he said she's an alcoholic, which is questionable behavior, but really funny. I just think he's really interesting, and obviously Billy Crystal as Harry's great, but like you said, it is just Billy Crystal, and also I think he's really funny and stuff, but he's so far not in Meg Ryan's league. Like I don't understand how.
I mean, that admittedly, that hairline gets worse as he gets older. But outside of that,
I love as well that Billy Crystal is just appearing at 40 years old at the beginning of that film. We're supposed to believe he's just out of college. What the fuck? That guy's clearly in his middle age.
He's got sideburns.
Yeah, and he's about 40 years old. He looks older there than he does at the end of the movie. It's absolutely absurd. And yeah, I'm the same. Every time he speaks, I just hear Mike Wazowski. Like we watched it, and then we actually watched Monsters Inc. the other day, me and Eleanor, like afterwards, and it was like, that's the only character I can associate with. It's crazy. Like we watched obviously that Howl's Moving Castle, and he's in that, and it's the same. You hear it, it's like, oh, there's Mike Wazowski. Like that character's gonna follow me around forever, but he's great. But I think I preferred Steve Carell, which is a surprise to me as well because I really do like Harry. But I went 10-9 in favour of Cal. And also, he's got my fucking name. What do you want me to do? It's not often you get characters with the name Cal in these sorts of things. The only other one I can think of is Cal Kestis, who is all right, sure. And then Cal from Titanic, who's a prick.
Yeah, that seems about right.
They're the only ones. There's not enough of us good Cals about, so I'm going to go for it.
His name in Howl's Moving Castle is Calcifer.
Yeah.
That's close enough.
If he shortened it, then he might have got a point in this just for what he did in that movie, but he didn't. So that's on Billy Crystal, if anything.
Fucking Billy Crystal.
So yeah, I went 10-9 in favour of Steve Carell and Cal. Let's talk about the female leads then. Meg Ryan in a good role as Sally Albright.
I'm going to say my score will be. I don't know who you meant by female lead in this movie. So in Crazy Stupid Love, so you're going Julianne Moore or Emma
Yeah,
Stone?
I think it's Julianne Moore. Yeah, well, that's what I mean because I went in thinking it was like a double rom-com, but I don't. Emma Stone's really not got that many scenes, has she?
If I think we'll get onto it. Yeah, Julianne Moore's fine. We can do that.
Yeah. So yeah, you've got Meg Ryan as Sally Albright in When Harry Met Sally, the writer who's really particular on her food. She's this bubbly person who's not afraid to speak up for herself. And then you've got Julianne Moore in Crazy Stupid Love, who is this middle-aged wife, clearly unhappy, who wants a divorce. But a large part of the movie is just about her regretting that decision, and then the relationships with her children and how she interacts with them, while also figuring out things with her husband and Kevin Bacon. I'll be honest, fucking hated her.
Is these your opinions you've got to tell me?
This is what. Well, it was this and the fucking dodgy babysitter motherfucker. But this, I thought she was awful. Like she just treated him like shit throughout the entire thing.
Yeah.
I feel like every time we've done one of these episodes, I've been really against one member of a couple, and at least one of the movies.
Always the woman though, Carl. What's that about?
You are.
It's always the woman though. What's
That's
that
not true. Richard Gere last week caught beef off me.
No, that's true. That is very true. Fucking Richard Gere.
And this time, it's Emily because she treats him like shit. The divorce thing is fine. If you want a divorce, you want a divorce. But to say it in public where everyone can hear, it's just be embarrassing, isn't it? Don't do that. That's tight. Telling him you were sleeping with someone else. I mean, at least you've told him now. I get that. But then kind of wanting him back and saying you miss him, but then also going on dates with this other motherfucker. And then having him show up at your coat when your husband's trying to give this big romantic gesture. And then also making out that your husband's in the wrong for how he's acted after you've been married, like the fact he slept with other people. And the way she reacts to the teacher, it's just like, you have no say in this now. You left him. You can't judge him on who he is. Like, I think it was awful. Whereas Meg Ryan, I mean, it's nice to get a good Meg Ryan character after she wasn't great in the other two movies we've done, but she's great in this. I think Sally's one of the most likable female leads in any rom-com I've ever watched. She's so good. Even like the stuff which would be annoying in most characters, like the over-ordering and all the specific details into her food, like she wants certain things on the side and stuff. That could be so annoying, but it's somehow not with her. And there's a vulnerability to her which it just makes her so much more appealing. Like the stuff when she finds out her ex is getting married, or having kids. I think it's getting married. And she's really emotional, and Harry comes around and we see her like all messed up because she's been crying and her hair's a mess and she just doesn't look like the glamorous woman she's been portrayed throughout. Like it's just those moments which just make her so much more enduring. Like when she says she's going to be 40 and he asks when, she says someday, and he's like, it's like 8 years away. Like I just think it's fucking great. And then having the balls to do the scene with the fake orgasm just to prove Harry wrong is fantastic. Like fair play to you. Like shove it straight up his ass. Like that motherfucker thought he was a ladies' man. She was like, well, let me tell you something, pal. I just think it's great. And I just like the ones like we've seen her in these other movies, and she's supposed to be a similar sort of character, but she's obviously her like morals are all over the place in those. Whereas this, she just seems like a really decent human being. And I love the ending when she says she hates him, but she clearly loves him. And I just think she's awesome. And Meg Ryan's hot as hell in this movie. Like hot as hell. Let's go, Meg. Let's fucking go. So yeah, 10-9.
Yeah, it was nice to finally get a Meg Ryan that I liked. So for that reason alone, 10-9 to Meg Ryan. Because everything you said, like for very similar reasons why I think Harry's the better male lead, is that again, she's a specific person, a very specific person that a very specific other person can love. And you can tell when they go on the date with Jess and Marie that like she's not for everybody, and she's so perfectly obviously suited to Harry that the film tries to tell you like the film tries to tell you that she's got all these quirks and stuff that you're not supposed to like, but it just like you say, makes her more endearing, makes her more lovable. The bit obviously in the cafe is very, very iconic. But it's not that does it for me. It's the when she finishes, she just starts eating, and just like dead casually, like as if she's just one-upped him by saying something rather than having a giant fake orgasm is brilliant. And watching this finally made me understand why people thought, yeah, we'll cast her as, like, we want her in our rom-coms, we want her to be this big star. Because from watching those other two, I would have thought, why would you ever want her in your movies? But this really, really sold it. Emily, I agree, just the absolute fucking worst. When she gets up in arms about the teacher and finding out he slept with 9 people, it was a bit like heartbreaking to see that he'd said the perfect combination of sexy and cute, which is obviously something he always used to say to her. You can see the pain in her face. And I really like little moments with her, but overall, like, yeah, she kind of brought this. And I suppose the story of her is how she not let him be comfortable, but there's always 2 sides to that story. Nobody just becomes comfortable on their own. Like, people kind of have to grow that into that position. And I think her story is just one of realizing that when she sees that he's getting his mojo back, but she only kind of really wants him back once he's got his mojo back. She should have loved him the entire way through. So fuck her. So
yeah, I mean, you're right. There are good moments with her. Like, I think the one when Steve Carell's character's outside and she rings him and she's lying that she's down in the basement, needs help with something just because she wants to talk to him. I think that's a really nice moment.
yeah.
And it's really well acted. Like the emotions they both bring. I think it's so well done. And the stuff with like the kids, I think the interactions with them, it's really good. And you can see she's a good parent. It's just the way she treats Cal's a bit fucking ruthless. Like really fucking ruthless. Like, because it's immediate she leaves him and then it's immediately mixed messages from there. Like, even when he comes around like with a moving van to get stuff and she's like, oh, I think I might be going through like a midlife crisis. It's like she's already like kind of hinting that this isn't a normal thing. And the stuff in the office when she's like, you look so great and stuff, and then she finds out he's moved on and doing his bit and she's fuming, and then she's going on dates with fucking Kevin Bacon. And then that would have been better if that was played like it was like she wasn't really that into him, but she was kind of trying to force it. But she seemed genuinely into him and then kissed him at the door and then immediately pretended it wasn't nothing to the babysitter. So not only was she a bit shit to Cal, but she was also a bit shit to Kevin Bacon. And that's Kevin Bacon. You're pissed about with Kevin Bacon. That's my fucking guy. So yeah, disappointing from her. We'll talk about the best couple then out of the two.
Right, okay, so are you talking Cal and Emily or Jacob and Hannah? Because in my head, I think the traditional love story in this movie is Jacob and Hannah.
Well, I think the thing is, the rom-com story is Cal and Emily. Like, they're the ones that go through all the trial and tribulation. They're the one that have the big emotional speech at the end that leads to the reunion. Jacob and Hannah, they meet like early on, but then don't interact for about 40 minutes in the movie. And then they have that really great scene at his house. And then from there, they're just a couple. Like, it doesn't really feel like a traditional rom-com tale where there's the trials and tribulations and the big emotional reunion, where I think a lot more time is spent on Cal and Emily. Do you disagree?
I don't feel like I'm allowed to.
No, I just, you pulled a face. I was
No. I agree.
I mean, you can use them if you want.
No, fuck you. I'll do what you want to do. You like to remind me every now and again. You created this podcast. So
I fuck?
We'll go what Cal says.
I have never once said that in my fucking life.
Look up. Last week. We were recording halfway through speaking. You text me saying, "Don't you fucking talk about that. This is my podcast. Don't you forget."
Don't talk about what? If I said it, you can remember it like that, can you?
It was when I was talking about. It's when I was bad mouthing.
Yeah, bullshit. Look, you're fucking changing already. You ain't fucking having anyone with that. Stubbing over. Not having it. I would never. Also, I don't have your number.
Yeah, that's true.
If you want to do Jacob and
no, we'll do Cal and Emily.
I mean, you're first.
So I said.
So obviously we've got.
I'll just put a post on Instagram after this episode's aired saying that all your opinions are wrong. And I'll sign it you.
Yeah, I'm sure there. Yeah, unfortunately, I can edit those. So,
Ah, shit.
yeah, in When Harry Met Sally, we've got Harry and Sally. Funnily enough,
Yeah.
um,
Do you know
two.
what? I always make notes of like the character names just in case I forget because I've got a terrible memory. And I literally wrote what I wrote Billy Crystal, and I went, "What was his name in the film?"
I did the same with Crazy Stupid Love about Cal, and when I looked it up, I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, it's literally my name. How did I forget that?" But yeah, you've got Harry and Sally, the friends who spent about 6 years not getting on, and then about 6 years getting on. Like their lives, they've interacted numerous times over the years, and they eventually become friends, hit it off, and they get really close, and then they realize they're in love. And it's a very traditional sort of love story. And then we've got Carl and Emily, the marriage that's on the rocks. She cheats and asks for a divorce, and then realizes she's made a mistake. He does his own thing, and then realizes that he still wants her back, and does this grand gesture, which I mean, it hints at a reconciliation at the end. Like it doesn't really give too much away when he says he'll keep fighting for her. Very different couples. One's like early 30s, just about to start a love story. One's been through the fucking wars already. How did you score it?
10-9 in favour of Harry and Sally because I think Emily lets the side down in Crazy Stupid Love. I think everything Cal goes through is warranted. I think it's a bit normal. I think anybody in that situation would do exactly what he did. I think after that amount of time, you'd want to go out and swim in the waters a little bit, and then the regret would come back, and you want to win him back with your newfound confidence. But I think everything with Emily, like you said, like she enjoys David Lindhagen, and she has no right to be. I mean, I get it. You would be upset, of course you would. Roles reversed, the cow probably would have been upset, but you got to like. There's no right, and when everything kind of kicks off, she puts all the blame on him when he kicks off at Jacob, and all Cal had to say was, "Look, this is the kind of person he is. He's the one that made me this way." She probably would have been on side, but like she kind of puts all the blame on him, and while I think they probably do end up together in the end, after the end of the movie, it's probably going to be, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it's, I feel like the ending would make more sense if it ended with them not being together. If the end of the film was like, look, divorces happen, people can stay close after that, it'd be one of those kind of stories rather than winning them back, and then Jacob and Emily being Jacob and Hannah being the love story of the movie. Whereas Harry and Sally, you can tell as soon as they become friends, you can tell like they're perfect for each other. That they're perfect for each other as friends. They're just missing, because of their own morals and because of their own opinions, they're missing the romantic part, and it isn't obviously until the end, until they realise that their romantic part is probably the thing that would complete it rather than the thing that should hold them back. And all the bits with him are fucking great. Like again, the bit in the cafe, the bit in the museum, the when they're doing the games night and they're both asking about the other person's like date that they brought. Like every time you see them interact, you believe that they should be like getting the Christmas tree and decorating and rolling out. Just everything just makes them work. And you never once, and obviously that's the intent of the film, you never once believe that they're just friends. But when it finally happens in the end, I think the only downside is obviously Billy Crystal's reaction to them having sex, because it's a bit of a heartbreaker, because you knew it was gonna, you were hoping it weren't gonna come, and obviously it does. But like I say, with these the reason I don't like rom-coms is because it always feels rushed. It's always after a week. It's always after a couple of days. It's always like in Pretty Woman, it was 5 days. It's always very, very rushed. Whereas this, it felt like they'd spent years and years and years building up to that point and getting closer and closer. For them to realize at the end, it makes perfect sense. And they're both massively likable. Obviously, they're both my favorite male and female leads, so makes 100% sense for the best couple as well.
Yeah, I went 10-9 in favour of When Harry Met Sally as well. The thing is, you are.
Because fuck Emily.
Yeah. Also, the thing is, like going through certain issues and like those sort of trials and tribulations are pretty much essential to most rom-coms. But when you go through them to the degree that Carl and Emily do, it's like, would you guys even work then? Like, is she not just going to get bored and leave you again in the future? Like, is he, now that he's been playing this field and doing all this crazy shit, is he going to get bored, like miss that? Where's Kevin Bacon come into the fucking equation? Who knows? Like, it's all just fucking all over the place. And like, Harry and Sally, the way they build it up over years, and I like that it starts off where they don't get on. She thinks he's a bit obnoxious, and he thinks she's really uptight. And then they meet a second time, and it's pretty much the same. Like, they don't quite get on, and it takes a third time years later, where they're both newly single, to really click and discover that they've got this bond. And the way it's played over such a long time, like you said, it feels earned at the end. I do love the. I mean, you're not supposed to, and obviously it is sad, but I love the fact that when they first lead together, he is like he is, because it stays true to the character. Like, it makes sense for him.
Yeah.
I think it's really smart, and I love that she doesn't forgive him for that until the very end. Like, she's even saying at the end, like before he gives the big romantic speech, she's like, "You're messing me about. Like, you've hurt me." Like, I love that she stays true to herself in that sense. And then he gives the big emotional speech, and we get that really nice moment. Whereas I just don't like, and then you get the bit of the couples bit right at the end, that we've been seeing all these older couples throughout the movie, and we get those guys at the end talking about their wedding, and how great it was. So we know they get married, and I just think I've got more faith that that is a relationship that works in comparison to Carl and Emily, despite the fact they've got 3 kids and been married for God knows how long. Just not feeling it. She did too much damage. And then he fucking slept with the teacher, and it caused some chaos, which was hilarious. Also, this is really random, but I love when they're in the garden, like doing the big reveal, and how on your nose it is when she's like, "Oh, I've got to wait for your daughter to be here," and she's like, "She is here." She's like, "No, your other daughter." Like, he just forgot he had another daughter. Like, that just was such a weird choice.
I like a completely not part of the couples bit. We should probably save it for the next bit. But I like how they constantly call her Nana, and you're obviously thinking like one of their mothers. The entire film, even though you've met a character and spoke to the character, but not spoke to the character, had other characters say Hannah's name multiple times, and you still don't think that Nana is Hannah. Honestly, just I fucking love it.
Yeah, that was quite clever. I wish I had gone into this not knowing that twist, but I've seen something about that online before. That would have been a really fun reveal, but I'd seen something about that. Yeah.
We'll say, and then I'll wait.
For what?
Just something I was going to say, but I'll wait till the supporting cast, which is...
Well, we might as well go there now then. We both went 10-9 in favour when Harry and Sally. So we'll talk about the supporting cast then. These are very different, because when Harry Met Sally's really only got 3 proper supporting roles. Yeah, well, because there's another friend who we see a few times, like at the wedding, and when she first goes for dinner with Marie.
Yeah.
But it's obviously a much more minor role. You've got the great late Carrie Fisher as Marie, Sally's best friend. You've got Bruno Kirby as Jesse, Harry's best friend, and you've got Lisa Ampersky as Alice, another one of Sally's friends. You've obviously got the love interest throughout, like the girl at the beginning whose name I can't even remember. You've got Joe.
Funny, because nobody else could remember either.
Oh yeah, you've got Joe, the man that Sally spent years with, who I'm pretty sure is like related to an ex-president.
No idea.
I'm pretty sure he was. I actually saw it. I'm gonna really look it up now like an idiot, but I'm pretty sure he's related to like an actual ex-president. I think he's I think his name's like something Ford. Yeah, his name's Stephen Ford. So he is the son of Gerald Ford, the former US president. But he's only got like the one scene. Harry's ex-wife and her partner have got like one scene. Ira, fucking great name for that. He looked like a right prick and all. But there's really only 3 supporting cast members in that, and only 2 of them get anything to do, and that's Carrie Fisher and Bruno Kirby. Whereas Crazy Stupid Love's obviously got a much larger cast. You've got Ryan Gosling as Jacob, you've got Emma Stone as Hannah, you've got Kevin Bacon as David Lindhagen, you've got John Carroll Lynch as Bernie, the babysitter's dad. You've got Leo Tipton as Jessica, the babysitter. You've got Joey King randomly as the youngest daughter, which was just random. So it took me until that scene in the garden when he was doing the nice surprise. That's when I clicked that was Joey King.
I rarely see her face in the beginning, the first part of the movie.
Yeah, that was the first time I noticed. I don't know if that's the first time you see it, but the scene when he does the crazy golf for Emily, that's the first time I realized it was her. You've got Jonah Bobo as Robbie, the son, and you've got really randomly Crystal Reed, who was in Teen Wolf and Gotham, plays one of the girls that Jacob's hitting on early in the film when he's first taking Cal under his wing, and she's really creeped out by Cal when he's talking to her. When Jacob goes to the bar to get drinks, he's just chatting to her, and she's just really like, "What the fuck is this guy?" But she has a really small part, but it's a nice cameo. It's essentially like 2 really good supporting cast roles in When Harry Met Sally versus a large group with some not so great, but some very good ones as well. I went 10-9 in favour of Crazy Stupid Love. It's hard because I think Carrie Fisher's Marie is probably one of the best best friends in a rom-com ever. Because most rom-coms, the female lead's got a girl best friend and they're very memorable. But I think Carrie Fisher is like the pinnacle of that.
Every time it was like he just bought her $120 dressing gown. I don't think he's gonna leave her. Nobody thinks he's gonna leave her. Like the way she's obsessed with this married man, and like obviously, and the bit where she gets the Rolodex out and she starts getting all the contacts and says he's married, and she like casually folds it over as if to remind herself later that he's not off the table just because he's married.
I also love when Sally mentioned that her and Joe split up, and Marie's first comment is, "Oh, so Joe's available." Like Carrie Fisher is great in that role. Like Marie's awesome. I think Bruno Kirby as Jesse is also really good. I love them 2 together. Like I love the double date where they realize they're more into each other and they run off. He did Godfather Part 2 and Donnie Brasco, stuff like that. He's really great. I like him in most things I've seen him in, but he's great as Jesse. Like I love.
Obviously, Carrie Fisher's in Scream 3, but is there anything else memorable that she's in?
The horror movie Sorority Row.
That's the one.
She plays the den mother who gets murdered like halfway through the movie. Spoilers.
She plays the nun in James Silent Bob Strike Back as well.
Yeah, that's it. I don't think she did it. I don't know why she didn't do anything else.
You'd think she'd be a bigger star with Harry Met Sally, but whatever.
Yeah. On a serious note, though, obviously she did Star Wars, but why didn't she really do much else?
She did Star Wars?
Obviously, you're a fake fan if you don't know that, pal. Want to get on my knowledge level of Star Wars, let me tell you.
Why didn't she do more? I think she came more of a bit of a screenwriter. Like, she touched up a lot of scripts, I know that. I think maybe the fame of Star Wars probably got to, I mean, obviously she had a drug habit and she had a lot of problems with, like in her personal life, with her like husband coming out as gay and all that kind of stuff. So I think I don't know really. I thought you'd think she'd be out of all of them. Harrison Ford is the one that made it big. You'd think she'd be bigger, but then you don't know how much of that is attributed to how females were treated in those days.
Yeah, but they're like the only 2 really worth shouting about in that. Whereas pretty much everyone in Crazy Stupid Love has much larger roles. Like Ryan Gosling's fantastic as Jacob. Like that's some of his like the most charisma he's had on screen. Like that's when he's at his best, when he gets to be charismatic.
Okay, well let's not have any nice guys slander in this podcast. Thank you very much.
Oh, fuck that film.
Go on, don't even.
No, I don't mind that. I don't mind Nice Guys. I've even started introducing it to people.
This is my second favorite Ryan Gosling role next to Nice Guys, only behind Nice Guys.
Yeah, I like it. I also like Nice Guys. I just,
One up
I
there.
think Drive might be my favorite Ryan Gosling performance.
I only ever watched it once, and I was smashed. So I don't really remember it.
It was just like broody and silent with a fucking toothpick in his mouth for some reason.
I'll
It was good
rewatch it.
though.
I'll let you know.
Oh, Ken was a good one.
Ken was a good one.
But yeah, enough about Ryan Gosling's filmography. Yeah, he's great. Emma Stone's fucking awesome. Those two together just always make magic. Like the connection and the chemistry is I mean it's easy to see, and you know why they've worked together on multiple occasions. Um, Marissa Tomei has a very fun role as the teacher. That woman is just so fine.
She is 100%. Not going to disagree there. I love her role in this, but Grace has ruined it for me because she was like, she essentially plays. She's like, I don't like her in this movie. I'm like, why? She was like, she essentially plays Leslie Mann's character in 40-Year-Old Virgin, and yes, she does.
Yeah, pretty much. But Leslie Mann also very attractive, so
there we go.
it works. But yeah, she's great. Marissa Tomei is great in this. She's so funny. Like you said, the stuff with the finger when he's giving the speech is fantastic. Just the interactions when he first realizes she's a teacher is awesome. The babysitter is creepy as fuck.
But she's funny still. Like outside of that moment, she's still funny. Like when she's like, I don't want your slutty money. Fucking brilliant.
Yeah, she is funny, like the way she like pines over Cal and no one really knows. And the way she like she says to Emily when she first comes home, those kids wait up for the dad. I think that's a great scene. Essentially just saying, oh, she's a fucking idiot. When she calls her batshit. Like it is good. She's just a bit creepy at the end. But we'll overlook that.
Yeah.
The son, not a big fan of.
No, it's a bit of a whiner.
He's a fucking creepy bastard. She said no, fucking take no for an answer, man. Keeps going on and on and on. Fuck off.
A teenager.
Yeah, but she said no like 5 times. Take a hint. I was too proud as a teenager. If a girl ever said no, I just never would. I would simply never speak to her again. I was too embarrassed. She would never hear from me again. I won't keep trying like that. Fuck
I like
that.
how you're proud to embarrass it under 10 seconds.
Bit of both. I'd have too much pride in myself to keep trying because I was embarrassed the first time. I don't know how it works, but it does.
It does. One person you haven't mentioned who I fucking love is Liz, Emma's friend.
Oh yeah, but she's also a bit of a dickhead, isn't she?
I love her when she's like, I need to be studying, and she's like, you need to be studying the ceiling tiles of that guy's apartment.
Yeah, but like, could you imagine like you were seeing a woman and a friend was just constantly telling her to fuck you off and like cheat? Like I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like I know the guy ends up being a douche anyway. You are?
You was a bit of an arsehole though.
Yeah, but she didn't know that. She just thought it was boring.
It's like, you constantly tell me I can do better than Grace. You're essentially Liz in this. Every time we talk, you say that I can do better than Grace.
I don't think anyone on earth believes that for a second. Grace hired me all those years ago. I'll always think she's too good for you. That was her one common sense. She hired me.
She was like, yesterday, she was like, I've been listening to your podcast. Yes, I do have beef with Cal.
Well, and I've just said a nice thing about it then, and I'll take it back. You can do better.
You'll probably find beef with.
Yeah. That's both of them beefing me now then. Fucking hell.
It's just the family.
Public enemy number 1, fucking sick. But yeah, I went 10-9 in favour of Crazy Stupid Love, just because there's more characters and they've got more to do. Like, I think Jesse and Marie together is great. I love their story. I love the scene in the bed when they've got the dual phone conversations at the same time. I love all that. But there's just the two of them. So in terms of the entire supporting cast, it's not really a competition, I don't think.
Which is hard because Carrie Fisher is fucking amazing in that movie. But I think everybody, whether they're annoying or what, or questionable in Crazy Stupid Love, everybody has something to do and everybody shines in what they are supposed to be doing. And yeah, I love them all. The babysitter's dad fucking brilliant. When he takes the thing, he said, my wife said, I can't be friends with you anymore, and takes the cologne, and then he bumps into him later and he's like, thanks for the cologne. Like, I just think he's just really good character. He's one of those actors that just pops up in loads of stuff.
Yeah, I thought that. You just recognize him, but you don't really know who he is.
Yeah. He always for me, he's the guy from The Founder, the film about McDonald's.
Oh, I've not seen that.
He's in Zodiac as well, I think.
Yeah, I think he's the one that he thinks the killer, right? And
yeah,
the one that Jake Gyllenhaal shits himself when he's downstairs with him.
Obviously, David Lindhagen, brilliant. The scene in the
Big Kev, we love him.
The scene in the office with Robbie, when Robbie heightens up his chair, and he obviously like, so you're the reason my mum and dad got divorced, and he just his face just switches on the fucking dime. Brilliant. But my absolute favorite, this is the bit that I was saving for this, when Emma Stone calls him daddy and Ryan Gosling goes, please don't call him that. Like, it's such a small fucking bit and I love it. And we've not talked about that scene enough. I don't know if we will do, but when he says, I'm David Lindhagen, and everybody looks at him and Ryan Gosling takes off the ring because you know exactly what's going to happen. It's fucking brilliant. Yeah, the cast of Crazy Stupid Love is just, it's the perfect ensemble of not too famous, obviously at the time. Nobody's massively famous. Nobody's outshining each other. Everybody's just stepping up everybody else's performance. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I agree. They're all brilliant. I think that stuff with the scene when they find out is very, very, very funny. Like when they're all like scrapping on the ground, all the men and the women, like, for Christ's sake, like I feel that was great. And the stuff about David Lindhagen is, it would have been very easy to make him a dick, but they don't. I think he's quite likable. Like the scene at dinner when he's making jokes and he says, "Oh, I'd love to take you to Bali and Spring. What, you go to Bali?" I said, "No, I'll drop you off and then pick you up." Like, it is like funny stuff, and you can see why he would be like the sort of character that could get in, like, woo a woman like that. And I mean, it's Kevin Bacon as well, which never hurts. Yeah, it's a great supporting cast. That was that. I mean, that is hard. I knew you'd find it hard because of Carrie Fisher, but yeah, I thought that one was difficult.
I don't think anything she's in where she's bad in it, and she was the standout in this one as well.
Yeah, I think the only reason it's a shame is because it is just those two. Like, you know, like I think her performance in that is up there. Like I said, it's one of the best rom-com friends ever. Like, it's hard to put anyone in Crazy Stupid Love supporting cast up against her, but like I said, it's just her and Bruno K. It's just not enough. So we'll talk about the music now then, the soundtrack. This again is quite hard, but only because there's not really too much memorable about either soundtrack, in my opinion.
Did you see my message after we started recording then?
Yeah, like last week's was fucking sick. Like we had some right bops.
Yeah.
In Notting Hill and Pretty Woman, whereas this week I don't really think there's too much like in either film. Like obviously, Crazy Stupid Love opens up with John Legend. We get that scene with the song from Dirty Dancing playing, The Time of My Life, I think it's called, or in brackets I've had or something at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's not really too many memorable like songs or needle drops throughout.
No.
But similarly, I don't think there's too many in When Harry Met Sally either. It's a lot of Louis Armstrong, I noticed. Like there's a lot of just different renditions of different songs with Louis Armstrong singing, and there's a lot of that Harry Connick Jr., which
had to be you.
You can tell it's Nora Ephron who wrote this movie, who also did Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail, because she uses a lot of the same music. Like Harry Connick Jr. seems to be in all of her films, and we've also got like the Christmas periods where there's like the Christmas song. You've got Auld Lang Syne at the end. You've got the song that Harry and Sally sing in the shop when he runs into his ex. The I can't remember what it's called now.
It's from Oklahoma, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's like Sorry with a Fringe on top or something like that. But yeah, neither movie's too memorable. So this is quite difficult, but how did you score
it? Neither were very memorable to me, which is why I text saying, should we change the category? But it doesn't look like you've seen that message.
Did you? When?
since we started recording.
I hadn't seen that.
I've seen you look at your phone every now and again. I'm like, is he just gonna change
No,
it?
I was on Wikipedia looking up like Gerald Ford's son. Or then I was looking at John Carroll Lynch to see what else I'd recognize him in, the guy that played Jessica's dad.
No, it's cool. Neither of them are overly memorable. I don't think there's anything really in Crazy Stupid Love other than I've had the time of my life, which you can't really give a point to because it's using Dirty Dancing, and you would put a point against it, whereas I would put a
Fucking
point.
right.
Fuck
Dirty Dancing.
But whereas When Harry Met Sally, I mean, it's got a few. It's got obviously Old Lang Syne, which is already iconic, but it uses it quite effectively. But it hasn't got many massive songs, but it's got the It Had to Be You, which is a great song, and Let's Call the Whole Thing Off, like the You Say Potato, I Say, like
that was great.
Nice songs all the way through, and the songs kind of like you say, you didn't say it still, like I was about to say, it emphasizes the points of the movie.
I'll take credit for that. Yeah, that's what I said.
Sure, but the one thing I did think whilst I was watching it was, is this where piano in rom-coms came from? Is this where using pianos in 80s rom-coms came from? Because if it is, fuck this movie. Outside of the piano thing, 10-9 to When Harry Met Sally, just for the pure fact that it's got a few more memorable songs in than Crazy Stupid Love.
Yeah, like there wasn't much really to write on about either of them, but I agree. I went 10-9 in favour of When Harry Met Sally, because also I think while the songs aren't particularly memorable, there's a consistency to the soundtrack. They're all the same sort of vibe. There's a lot of like Harry Connick Jr. and the Louis Armstrong songs throughout. They all feel like the same sort of music, and I think that's something that Nora Ephron stuck with going forward as well. But it just all felt linked together. Old Lang Syne, I would have said It's a Wonderful Life. That on its own would have done me, because that immediately takes me back to that. But also, I love the scene when they are singing the song from Oklahoma and he runs into his ex-wife. Like, I think that's really great. I think Meg Ryan does a great job in that scene when she's trying to sing the lyrics, but she doesn't really know them, and she keeps going even though her voice isn't great. Like, she's awesome in that scene. And running into Ira fucking kills me. But
His face fucking drops.
You are?
His face just fucking drops.
Yeah. But Meg Ryan keeps singing and she looks at his face and thinks it's because she's a bad singer. Like, it's brilliant. And yeah, there's just not really too much going on in Crazy Stupid Love. Like, with a movie like that in the 2010s, you'd expect a couple of memorable needle drops, but there's not, apart from the Dirty Dancing moment.
I think, there's Goldfrapp's Ooh La La, which, again, but not really. I think it was probably a big song at the time, but it's not one that's really stuck, I don't think.
Yeah, so that was, I mean, scraping the barrel with the fucking music choices. So neither really blew me away, but you can't all be Pretty Woman.
What I'd suggested, we obviously can't do it now, but what I'd suggested on text, I don't know if you've seen it now, is swapping out soundtrack from more like which is the best iconic moment, because two have got pretty iconic moments in the orgasm scene and the reveal.
Yeah, I didn't say it, I still haven't looked.
I
know what you mentioned, I still haven't looked.
I was talking, saying, yeah, we can do that.
No, I still haven't looked.
No, it's fine. You never look at me messages.
No, that to be fair, there's a couple in When Harry Met Sally, because you can make a case for that final scene when he reads why the reason he loves her is iconic as well.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that could be something we do in future. Most iconic moment. Which film had the best iconic moment? Especially if it's classics like this.
You're late now.
Well, that's why I said in future, you silly bastard.
What? I don't want to do this podcast anymore.
Yeah, you get in there first, so it's your idea. We'll move on then to the best legacy, how the movies have held up, how they were regarded by critics, fans, how people still view them now, and just the overall impact they've had. I mean,
this is obviously, I feel like this. I agree.
There's no beating around the bush with this one, I don't think. I went 10-9 in favour of When Harry Met Sally. I'm guessing you did too.
Yeah, cool.
It's like I said at the start, it's regarded as probably the the most iconic and quintessential rom-com of all time. It's what really kicked off the rom-com boom in the 90s and 2000s, and it's influenced so many movies since then, and it's still regarded so highly now. So yeah, I think this was fairly straightforward.
Yeah, I think there's not a beat in that movie that hasn't been inspired in other movies. And like you said earlier, that ending it sets the template for what a rom-com ending should be. And a lot of stuff in it is like how people come together, go apart, and find somebody and meet, but they're not right for them, and then they are right for them. And all, I think it's all just built up towards. I mean, the orgasm scene alone is probably, if that isn't the most iconic scene in all time, I don't know what is. Like in terms
of all time in any movie.
In terms of rom-coms,
I was going to say, I think maybe the Luke father scene in Empire might be a bit more iconic.
But imagine if that happened in Star Wars.
I mean, what, Darth Vader fakes an orgasm?
Yeah. No, in A New Hope, when everyone meets Han and Chewie for the first time, and Chewie just starts doing it. But not just that, but like the line afterwards of "I'll have what she's having" is
which is apparently the woman that does that is Rob Reiner, the director's mum.
Oh, is it?
So he got his mum to come in and do that line, which is hilarious.
I thought she looked familiar. It does look a bit like him. But yeah, I think, but that's a line that's been repeated in rom-coms as a wink and a nod to the camera, like, you know what we're talking about, kind of thing. Yeah, it's, as much as I love Crazy Stupid, I do think it is probably the modern classic of rom-coms. I don't think it's even close to having a legacy like When Harry Met Sally does.
No, which is a shame, because like I said, I hadn't really heard too much about it apart from the twist. I knew it was like well regarded, but it's not quite got anywhere close to the impact or the like the adoration that When Harry Met Sally's had over the years.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something that'll grow, but it's also got a 17-year-old giving a 13-year-old nude, so that might age poorly. Also, like, the director, like Rob Reiner obviously directed When Harry Met Sally, and the fact that this kind of launched like him into the next like few years, which was just incredible. Like before this, he did Princess Bride, and fair enough, we don't hit on every swing.
You don't have to like every movie that everybody's ever done.
No. Some of them just have to be good, and that's not. But then he did like Misery, which was fucking awesome. He did A Few Good Men, fucking awesome. Like the directors for Crazy Stupid Love, I couldn't even tell you the names without looking it up.
Yeah, true.
Like I think I looked it up earlier and I still couldn't tell you the name.
Okay, fair enough.
Because all I know is there was two of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, two people directed that. And should I have a quick look, see what else they've done?
Can you imagine? Can you just imagine them on set one day, like, should we film this scene where the 17-year-old gives a 13-year-old a nude? Maybe we shouldn't. Yeah, we'll do it anyway.
Yeah, it is weird. So one of the guys now does TV.
Great sign.
A TV show called Rabbit Hole. Never heard of it. He's only directed 2 films since Crazy Stupid Love. That is Focus and a film called Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Oh, that's who's that? Who's in that? I think that's, I know what it is. I can't remember who's in it though.
Margot Robbie, Tina Fey.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I think it's a female-led military comedy.
Yeah, well, he clearly liked working with Margot Robbie because Focus was her and Will Smith. Yeah. And before Crazy Stupid Love, he did I Love You, Philip Morris. That's Glenn Ficarra, who I've never heard of. Apologies, Glenn.
Sounds Glenn.
And similarly, these guys just do it all together then. I've just looked at the other guys' filmography, and it's the exact same. Every film they've ever done, they've worked on together. Same with the TV show. So every project they've done, it was always together. But yeah, you do a film like this and you think you've probably set up for a decent career, but they haven't really become like the household names that like Rob Reiner did. So that probably plays a part in the legacy as well. Like people remember him and the impact it had, whereas these guys are doing a TV show I've never fucking heard of called Rabbit Hole. So yeah, 10-9, pretty straightforward. last category, and that's a personal favourite, which you described last week as like the one where you can make like that final little pitch on why you like the movie so much. So I'll let you go first. I think I know your answer, but I'll let you go first.
I was really expecting to not like When Harry Met Sally because it's an older rom-com, like you
You
said.
sound like Bernie. It's an old one. I don't like it.
I know. I said an older rom-com. I don't like rom-coms. So an older one where let me finish me fucking. Don't ever compare me to him.
I know, what an insult to Ethan. Fucking hell.
Fuck off. Like you said, like every rom-com I've watched since have bits from this, so it just feels like we're treading water. But I actually really, really enjoyed it, and I was able to kind of in parts look at it and go, yeah, this is the original, so this is where it came from. So it is. But no, it is Crazy Stupid Love. It's the only rom-com other than Dirty Dancing. Dirty Dancing is the only classic one that I love, but it's the only rom-com where I could have finished watching it and gone, I'm gonna stay on again because I just love it. I think it's, like I say, twists, it turns, it consistently keeps you engaged, it consistently entertains. Even the questionable stuff's still fucking funny. Everything between Cal and Jacob's brilliant. When they first go shopping, I use it as the clip for the Instagram, but first go shopping, he opens his fucking wallet and it's a Velcro wallet, and he does that fucking the very popular gif of Ryan Gosling like looking disgusted, and then going shopping. The bit where he comes out and he says, "Would you fuck him?" and he's like, "What the fuck?" Like, you can't just say that. She goes, "Yeah, I would," and then he immediately changes, and you can see that's where the change happens. And he obviously looks really happy with himself and starts getting a bit of confidence back. Like, it's all those little bits I just love so much. When Harry Met Sally is a fucking brilliant. I rated it 4 on Letterboxd compared to my Crazy Stupid Love 5. But I would happily watch it again, which is not something I've been able to say for a lot of these films you've made me watch. But I would happily watch When Harry Met Sally again, which is funny because all the ones we've watched so far are ones that Grace has happily rewatched, but she didn't want to watch this one, doesn't like this one.
She didn't like When Harry Met Sally.
Mm.
Well, that's interesting.
She says fake orgasms scare her and she can only do real ones. So
I'm sure she did, yeah. I reckon more it hit a bit close to home.
She wants to be able to save face in front of me, so she just doesn't go around it. Yeah.
Yeah, now she's like, fuck the gigs up. He knows that's what we do.
Yeah, I never knew that until I watched this film.
No, I went 10-9 in favour of When Harry Met Sally. I think like I can see why it's the most like popular rom-com of all time. I can see why it was rated so highly. Like the characters are so lovable throughout. The addition of like the old married couples interspersed throughout the story, the overlap, the time lapses throughout, and just that whole build up for the relationship. I just think it's great. I love both leads, which doesn't happen often in these rom-coms that we've found out this month.
Yeah.
There's a lot that we don't like both. So I love both leads. I love the supporting cast. It's just fucking awesome. And don't get me wrong, I did like Crazy Stupid Love. I loved how it wasn't a conventional rom-com. I loved the little twist, but there was also some moments where I was like, this is annoying. Like the bit when they had the big fight and then he was like vilified. Like Cal left looking like a villain. I was like, no, that guy's not the villain. He got attacked because of a misunderstanding. He's unhappy his daughter's seen a womanizer and his wife's like new fucking date has just come around and somehow he's the bad guy. Like there were moments I was like, that's fucking annoying.
What a fucking scene.
Yeah, oh yeah, the scrapping and stuff was really funny, but like that bit when
it's when he punches David Lindhagen, when Jacob punches David, and then fucking Cal comes and grabs him, and then fucking Bernie, is it Bernie? Yeah, Bernie fucking grabs him, and then David Lindhagen is like, and Jacob's like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, it is really funny, especially when the police officer's like, which one of us is Lindhagen or something? He's like, Hagen. Like they all correct him. Yeah, it is really funny. And there were some moments where I like genuinely laughed out loud, but there was also, like I said, just those ones where I thought there were moments where I was like, this is a bit annoying. Like I don't like that it's done this. Whereas I think when Harry Met Sally throughout, I've got not a bad word to say. I think it was great. The ending's iconic. The opening's really effective. The orgasm scene, fucking top notch. just brilliant. And I
You
think Sally,
close your eyes when you watch that scene, mate.
you are.
You close your eyes when you watch that scene, and
I just rewinded it like 18 times. Yeah.
so I've got that clip saved on my phone because of editing the video.
But I also think Sally Albright's one of the most lovable like leads in a rom-com ever as well. So that plays a part in it for me. So I went 10-9 in favour of that because I love it. And it's only the second time I ever watched it, but I'd happily rewatch it again and again.
What about Crazy Stupid Love?
Yeah, I think I'd rewatch that as well. That is a really funny one. And I don't think Ellen has seen that one. So I'll probably show it Eleanor at some point. But yeah, that's something I'd definitely I'd revisit both. Which I don't think I've said too often this month either. That there's some that I don't think I'd bother rewatching. Like I think I've done with Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail now. I'm not that asked about revisiting them. I don't think I'm in a rush to revisit Notting Hill or Pretty Woman.
I was literally about to say, after you gave us the score, what has been the favourite out of all the movies we've watched this month? What has been your favourite?
Is it my actual favourite or the one I think is the best? Because the best I think is When Harry Met Sally, but my actual favourite,
yeah, your personal preference, yeah,
probably She's All That.
fair.
But that's what I liked so much as a teenager. I think that and 10 Things I Hate About You together, but probably my favourite.
Fair. I think it'd be a toss-up between 40-Year-Old Virgin and Crazy Stupid Love for me.
Shit, I forgot about the Stoner ones.
But probably Crazy Stupid Love taking it by a millimetre.
I forgot we did the Stoner ones, yeah. I think knocked up over 40-Year-Old Virgin for me.
I think When Harry Met Sally's probably been my best surprise. Like, I didn't expect to like it, but I really did like it. Same with She's All That. But When Harry Met Sally's just a league above, I think.
Yeah, we started off quite poorly. Like the first couple you really didn't like, did you? Like was it the first one, Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail? Were that the very first ones we did?
Yeah.
And they were not for you. And then we did the Stoner ones, which you enjoyed. But it's been up since then. We've done well.
We did Pretty Woman last week.
Yeah, that was all right.
Richard Gere, weren't?
No, well, he wasn't, no, but fucking Julia Roberts was.
Julia Roberts was.
And the soundtrack was all time.
Hugh Grant. I didn't have a fun time last week.
Hey, Hugh Grant was great in that film. I not fucking anything else.
Somebody told me that they were actually sat fucking crying laughing at my rant at Hugh Grant. So we'll take it.
Poor bastard, I love him. But yeah, that brings it to an end then. Any predictions?
I'd love to say that I think Crazy Stupid Love's going to win, but I have been tallying up in my head, and I'm pretty sure it's slid the other way.
You're right, it has. It's 193 to 187 in favour of When Harry Met Sally. And I've been making a tally as well. Do you know what's really interesting?
Yeah, you're keeping score, you fucking idiot.
No, I meant a different type of tally. You only gave 3 categories to Crazy Stupid Love.
Bad, innit?
It's crazy. Like we said it before, it is crazy like how the one that's your favourite, sometimes the way the categories shape out, it's weird when you break it down like that. I gave more to it than you did.
Yeah, I think when you put it up against such strong contenders, though, it's hard to not realize who the better characters are and like the moments and like stuff like soundtrack and legacy. He was never going to win on.
Yeah, I mean, music. It could have. I mean, they were both pretty shite. To be fair, like we were clutching at straws. So
that's not like us.
No, not at all. We're usually very well prepared in all senses of the word.
That's us.
But yeah, so the winner is When Harry Met Sally, 193 to 187, 6 points in it. And that brings Valentine's month to an end.
Thank fuck.
5 weeks of rom-coms, and you've loved every minute of it.
I'm not doing another rom-com until next February.
Do you know, I don't think I've watched this many rom-coms so close together since I was about 17 years old. I don't think I've watched this many with Eleanor. I just don't watch them that often, and I've watched so many.
I think what was I rewatching? I probably was just fucking rewatching Spider-Man 2 on repeat.
What, when you were 17?
Yeah, probably.
I don't even think I was watching many films. I was deep in the Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill vibe at the time. I was on my teen dramas back then. fucking emotional stuff.
I'm pretty sure Lost was out when I was 17, so I probably was starting my Lost training.
Lost came out when I was too young to stay up. I think the pilot episode came out when I was 8. Which my mum let me watch because the pilot it was aired in 2 parts that day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I did part 1 and then there was like an hour break and then part 2, and I was allowed to watch part 1 and mum said I had to go to bed and miss part 2 because I was too young for it and it was too late. I watched it eventually though and I fucking loved it.
How old would I have been when it came out? I would have been 15 when Lost came out.
Fucking hell. I forget how fucking old you are.
Cheers, mate. Because I'm reminded weekly.
That's funny as. But yeah, when Harry Met Sally won.
What a fucking ending. Yeah, Harry Met Sally won. It deserved it. It's a great movie. As much as I love Crazy Stupid Love, I knew it couldn't compete with. Well, before watching it, I thought, yeah, we've got a good competitor. Like, I've got a good chance, but after watching it, do you know what we should do in future? You pick your least favorite film of all time, and I pick my least favorite film of all time, and see how
that'd be interesting.
Yeah,
I'd have to figure out what mine is.
I know what mine is.
Mine's probably something like fucking.
As long as I don't have to rewatch Princess Bride, I ain't fucking bothered.
No, fuck that. I think that's beyond dislike.
Yeah.
Mine's probably something like fucking. Do you ever watch Holmes and Watson?
No, please.
That was straight up garbage. That was so fucking bad.
If you ever did that episode, our friend Dan would be happy because he'd finally get us to talk about Malignant.
Oh, is that your least favorite film of all time?
It's got to be that or Rocky Horror. It's one or the other.
So Malignant, I've never seen, but I've heard it's very mixed. But then Rocky Horror is supposed to be great, so that's probably just a you thing.
Probably.
That's an interesting idea, though. We should do that at some point.
We should do it. We'll do it.
Yeah. But this brings another episode to an end then, guys. We hope you enjoyed watching / listening. If you are watching on YouTube, feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Whereas if you're listening on any of the podcast service, then feel free to subscribe and leave a nice review. Next week is a special episode. It's a themed episode for a certain award ceremony that's coming up, which I imagine anyone who knows anything about movies will immediately know what that is, but we'll keep the actual details close to our chest for now. But yeah, we've got something special planned up for that. And then we're taking a break because my life is stressful as fuck right now. And I've got a holiday for 3 weeks, then I've got every uni assignment under the sun to do, including watching a load of horror movies. So I've just not got time. So yeah, we're going to take a break after next. Do you think the Academy Awards, which I've just spoiled by revealing the awards ceremony, yeah, the Oscars, it's a good jumping off point because the few months after that, I'm going to be swamped, and then we'll be back once I've got more time, which probably end of May, June. So yeah, next week's the last episode for a while. Nathan's tearing up. I can see it.
As long as we do the one thing that I want to do on that one day, then I'm happy. But outside of that, I'm happy for you to take a break because you fucking need it. Because you work fucking loads, you do loads of uni, you do this, and you still find time to go to the cinema. Yeah, you need a bit of you need to focus. So
yeah, it's getting a lot, and like I said, for my dissertation, I'm doing it on like the way women are treated in horror. So it's going to be a lot of horror movies that I need to watch over the next few weeks. So it's going to take up so much time. And like this, obviously we do this for fun, but it takes up probably about 6 hours a week with watching the films and recording. So yeah, I just don't think I think I'll probably end up fucking withering away if I keep up with the work rate I am now. So we'll take a break, and when we come back, I'll be revitalized. Is that right? Re-energized.
Re-energized. You'll look at probably a little less tired on a week-to-week basis as well.
Yeah. I might have a shave as well because this is getting out of hand.
It is.
But yeah, so we'll see you guys next week for the last episode for a while. Is it a season? Are we calling it season 1? I don't know.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
Yeah, but then it'll make it easier than fucking when you're having to do Roman numerals for episode 87 or whatever the fuck it is.
I like it.
All right. Well, you're the one that does it, so that's fine with me. I don't have to figure it out. But yeah, our details are underneath. I believe they're still going to be there.
They are.
On Letterboxd and X, formerly known as Twitter.
Not that I post on X anymore.
You are?
Not that I post anything on X anymore.
No, well, I've been posting football stuff about Rovers. I've had all Burnley fans in me mentions recently because I posted a video of one of our old players fouling him, and it went a bit wild and everyone's kicking off. But that's fun. I like winding up Burnley fans. So yeah, guys, we'll see you next week for a special Oscars themed episode. So until then, peace out.
I thought you said you were going to do the fake orgasm as an ending to this episode. Go on, Cal.
Do you know I've left this in and now you can fuck off.